Welcome to the Popcorn Coalition from First Church of Sanityville. I'm Pastor Kevin.
And I'm Pastor Evan.
And I'm Fraser Dunblade of the Iron Mountain. Ha ha!
I thought you were Quentin Seltzer of the Unpaid Interns?
Not in the classic tabletop role-playing world of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, my friend.
Wow, it's so good to meet you, Mr. Dunblade.
Please, my friends call me Bloodhammer.
Okay, today we're doing an episode on fantasy. And I think the main reason I agreed to do this was brain damage, lack of sleep. Maybe I just don't care anymore. I truly don't know.
So, Quentin, why did they call you Bloodhammer?
Well, Evan, it might have something to do with my weapon in the game.
Let me guess. It's a bow and arrow?
Wow, Ev, -2 intelligence. Let's think about the two words that make up Bloodhammer, okay? It's a Dahmer from the region of Blah.
Of course.
When Dungeons & Dragons first hit the scene in Christian circles, it had kind of a bad rap. Do you want to speak to that, Quentin?
Sorry, Kev. Bad rap is not something I know much about. Well, my name is Quentin. I'm a homie on the streets. I'm hanging with my friends who are eating pickled beets.
And that is enough of that.
What? Why?
Our listeners have
standards.
Ears.
Anyway, Kev, I guess some elements of Dungeons & Dragons might have seemed at the time like a little devilish or demonic.
You mean like all the devils and demons?
Well, now, Evan, demonic forces have always been a fun part of folklore and, you know...
The Bible? In real life?
Mythology, since time immemorial.
Speaking of time immemorial, that's how long I feel like this discussion has already been going.
You know, lots of kids who feel isolated or socially outcast find themselves drawn to the dark and supernatural. What these kids need is
to be spanked and sent outside.
Kev, can you tell Ev to stop interrupting me when I'm in the middle?
Moving right along. Quentin, you mentioned social outcasts. Do you think a lot of kids turn to things like D&D because they find it awkward to interact with other kids? Or is it because of other reasons, like horrific acne?
Well, no, I practically came out of the womb clutching an advanced Dungeons & Dragons handbook myself.
Oh my goodness, that is so gross.
But I was the coolest, most popular kid in my school.
Quentin, you're doing that thing where I know you're lying.
What's that?
Speaking words.
Actually, Kevin, some of the most popular kids in my school were into some pretty unusual things, like wearing designer clothes, throwing wild pool parties.
Yeah, I don't think it was their unusualness that made those kids popular, Ev.
What else could it have been? Their Jewishness?
Returning to really any point but that one, don't you think kids like fantasy because they want to escape?
I don't know what I would have been escaping from, Kev. My dad was there for me every other weekend and most Tuesdays. Woot woot! And the loving way my sister Jamie raised me is right up there with what I assume it would have been like to be raised by my mother.
Quentin, never mind. It's not my job to see that you're self-aware and mentally healthy.
You're just this pastor.
Yep.
But, Quentin, it does sound like you have some issues. Specifically, that the Dunblades are low in ranged magic.
Old Fraser Dunblade has a few tricks up his sleeve, believe you me, Ev.
Can we stop saying Fraser Dunblade, please?
I want to be a Loxodon.
They're a calm and wise people, the Loxodons.
It sounds like an antidepressant.
Or it's a humanoid elephant with keen smell and Loxodon serenity.
Yeah, obviously that was my first thought. Look, why don't we...
Go to a break? I thought you'd never ask.
We don't do break?
Fraser Dunblade here, level 20 barbarian. Is your life feeling empty, devoid of meaning and joy? Like you're a plumber, or a housewife, or a teenager or something? Hey, I've got 2 words for you. Dungeons and Dragons. Now, instead of making do with your own dumb life, you can pretend to be somebody cool and powerful like me, Fraser Dunblade, level 20 barbarian. It's cool being someone else because you can meet beautiful elf maidens, and unlike women of a certain other race I can name, they'll definitely want to talk to you. Instead of solving dumb problems like how to pay the rent or what to wear to work, you can solve awesome problems, like how to steal jewels from half orcs, half halflings. Is a half halfling a quarterling? Do the math. Hey, if you want to learn how to play D&D or join an awesome D&D league, or, this is most important, just have expendable cash, call me today. I'll hook you up, baby, and it'll be awesome, or my name's not Fraser Dunblade.
Quentin, am I going to regret agreeing to let you edit these?
Oh, most certainly. not.
Okay, well, we said we were going to do an episode on fantasy, and all we've really talked about is D&D. That's like saying you're going to do an episode on candy, and all you talk about is Charleston Chew.
Choo choo!
Hey, I have a fantasy, Kev. A fantasy that the world will join hands and roll the 20-sided dice of Dungeons & Dragons as one.
Wow. How many numbers are on a 20-sided dice?
Quentin, none of our listeners are going to play D&D. They have other pleasures, like human interaction or sunshine. I'm not sure who would be dumb enough to want to waste their time.
I am Ranichola Stinkhorn of Loxodon. Greetings, Fraser Dumbblade.
Let me just roll the dice to make sure your greeting was successful and... Greetings, Ranicholas. You may call me Bloodhammer.
You come from Blah?
As surely as hobgoblins come from Shadowdale.
Quentin, can I borrow your blood hammer?
So fun.